Now at 11, what local election officials want you to know as we approach Oregon's special election.
We can assist you with voting and making sure that you can get your ballot in.
Plus, a local energy company has a message to customers as wildfire season raises the possibility for service disruptions.
We also want to do what we can to prevent a wildfire from starting.
And it's been nearly 80 years since a flood destroyed the town of Vanport.
Telling us that water was high, but nothing never was done about it.
How survivors and a local nonprofit are making sure we can continue learning from history. Thanks for joining us at 11. I'm Art Edwards. We start tonight with major incidents on both coasts of the United States. In New York, 2 people are dead and several others hurt after a Mexican Navy tall ship hit the Brooklyn Bridge. The ship struck the bridge as it was about to leave New York on a goodwill tour to Iceland. All lanes of the 142-year-old bridge were closed in both directions as emergency officials checked to see what damage was done to the bridge. There was no significant damage and it has now reopened. And now to Palm Springs, California, where the FBI is investigating a car explosion that killed 1 person and injured 4 others. The blast happened outside a fertility clinic and severely damaged the clinic and several nearby buildings. The FBI says this was an intentional act of terrorism.
As our investigation will unfold, we will determine if it's an international terrorism or domestic terrorism. Let me be clear. This is probably one of the largest bombing investigations that we've had in Southern California.
Now, the motive for the bombing is unclear at this point, and it is not known if the fertility clinic was specifically targeted. Stay with KGW for updates on these stories and others happening in our region. You can also visit KGW.com, download our free KGW News app, or stream us on your own time through KGW Plus. Oregon's special election is just 3 days away, and there is still time to drop off or mail in your ballot. Today, there were extended hours for in-person voting assistance. Celine Stevens spoke with a couple of counties today about what you need to know ahead of the big day.
Yes, I wanted to get my ballot in before the deadline. This happened to be very convenient for us.
Tuesday, May 20th, is the special election for people to vote on hot topics like school, fire, and water district races.
Everything counts. Yep, we pour through the information they send out ahead of time and decide who we're going to vote for.
Although the election is in just a few days, voter turnout is low in a couple counties, which is typical for special elections.
Special district elections can be anywhere between 16% turnout up to 40% turnout. The exact percentage that we are at right now is 12.1%.
As of end of day yesterday, Clackamas County is at 11.4%, so we have just over 35,000 voters who have turned in their ballot.
Voters having the option to stop by a ballot box or by a voting location in person.
We have 32 ballot boxes throughout the county. Plus, we have this office and the Voting Center Express where people can drop their ballots.
That Voting Center Express, located in Gresham, where we found Diane Herson, who turned in her ballot with her husband, saying vote by mail makes voting easy.
We live just down the street, an easy walk, and I saw it was going to be open today from 10 to 2. We'll get it in a couple days early. In Virginia, there are times we had to stand in line to get early voting, but you still had to stand in a long line.
Of course, voters can still vote in person if needed, and help will still be available on Monday and Election Day at the voter service locations, all of which can be found on your county's website.
You can also come here in person and vote in one of our voting booths if you would like. And if you need assistance voting, if you have a disability or if English isn't your first language, we can assist you.
Don't wait till the last minute. We want to make sure everybody's ballot's counted.
Celine Stevens, KGW News.
Now, before you head out to your usual ballot box, you should double check the location. 6 libraries in Multnomah County are closed, so there are temporary sites nearby where you can drop off your ballot. If you're mailing in your ballot, it must be postmarked on or before Election Day. Well, we have certainly been needing the rain of the last couple of weeks, and it sure arrived today. Today's rainfall was the wettest day of the year with well over an inch at PDX. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri is here to let us know where we stand for the month. Hey, Joe.
We are sitting pretty right now. 1.25 inches basically is what we've seen in the last several hours. Again, most of that falling between midnight and then early this morning, right around 8, 9 o'clock or so. But it came down pretty quick, but relatively dry since about the afternoon. We topped out with a temperature of 62 degrees this afternoon, but that's the key point. 1.26 inches since midnight. Yeah, we were at a deficit, a pretty good deficit. Well, that is not the case anymore. And as we look at the radar right now, all is relatively calm. We're going to be seeing a little bit of some passing showers and a little bit of some snow showers up along the foothills of the, or I should say into the Oregon Cascades. You shouldn't have any problem traveling. There could be maybe a couple of inches of snow up high, but again, you're not going to be seeing any major issues throughout the coast, the valley, or into the mountains heading into tomorrow. Rainfall today, yeah, the winner was PDX by a good margin, 1.26 again, and then about 0.8 throughout Vancouver and Troutdale. Just over a 1/4 inch fell over in wine country, and yeah, you saw a little bit along the Oregon coast as well, anywhere from 1/4 to almost 1/4 inch in a few locations. But coming up in my detailed forecast, we still have a few more showers tomorrow morning, and then we dry out, but I am tracking another round of more significant rain showers. I'll let you know when that arrives coming up in just a few minutes.
All right. Thank you, Joe. In Central Oregon, 2 people were taken to a Bend hospital with serious injuries after they were involved in a helicopter crash. It happened just after 11:30 this morning near Prineville Airport. This footage comes to us from the Prineville Review, was first on the scene. First responders say the privately owned chopper crashed into an open field in the area of a landfill. The 2 people hurt were the pilot and the passenger. Their conditions are not known at this time. No one on the ground was hurt and no property was damaged. Back in Portland, police are searching for a man who robbed a mail carrier while she was on the job. It happened just before 10:30 this morning in the area of Northeast Alberta and Northeast 7th Avenue. Portland police say the mail carrier was doing deliveries when a man started pulling on her bag. After taking it, he ran off from her and an officer who spotted him. Despite a search with a K9 and a drone, the suspect has not yet been located. The carrier was not hurt. Portland General Electric is working with other community agencies to reduce wildfire risk this summer. The energy company hosted an open house this week to demonstrate how the groups are helping each other monitor weather conditions and create fire prevention strategies. Libby Dowsett reports.
The fire in Eagle Creek was visible up until we were completely covered in smoke.
Denny Hayes and Susie Fay shared their experience evacuating during a fast-moving wildfire.
I prepared my old station wagon and moved our most valuables down to Sparky's Pizza in Damascus.
PGE said these are the people they want to reach before another wildfire season begins, those living in high-risk areas. PGE hosted an open house with other organizations focused on fire prevention to help educate the public about how groups work together to keep communities safe. PGE says it gathers input from other agencies before deciding whether to shut off power based on weather and ongoing conditions, and when and where to bury power lines. Nearly 60% of PGE's distribution lines are underground.
They will look kind of chunk by chunk and say, in this specific area, the geology and geography is such that we should put power lines underground.
After a storm passes, PGE says it takes time to re-energize those lines. Crews need to visually inspect each section of the lines that were shut down in case any lines were knocked down in the storm. As for the public's responsibility getting ready for wildfire season, Clackamas County's disaster manager recommends making a go bag right now and studying the best routes for an evacuation. She said the county is learning from past mistakes.
The more that we've actually had to do evacuations, we've learned and we've taken the lessons learned and applied that to our the next fire season.
She said they have improved mapping for the county's alert system and created traffic evacuation maps in different languages to make sure everyone gets out safely.
The highway system hasn't improved, but as far as panic or all that, I think people are a little more prepared now.
Libby Dowsett, KGW News.
the police came by on motorcycles saying that everybody get upstairs, get upstairs. About 10 minutes later, they came back again on motorcycles saying everybody get out.
Survivors of the Vanport flood gathered today to remember and share their stories nearly 80 years after the city's destruction. The 10th Vanport Mosaic Festival started Friday, and today the nonprofit held its annual reunion of residents, survivors, and descendants. Orly Glass was just 8 years old on Memorial Day 1948 when the Columbia River breached the railroad levee. He and his parents escaped on a truck that was picking people up.
That was the high ground, Interstate Avenue. And time we got there, I looked around and the water was there at Interstate. And they had boats, and I remember the boats and the ropes they had strung out across the water, trying to rescue people that was in the water. Yeah.
At least 17 people died, and the survivors who lost everything did not receive assistance. The 2-week Vanport Mosaic Festival is meant to be a form of memory activism so the community can continue to learn from it. Well, you have the opportunity to help neighbors in need this weekend. Positive Charge PDX is holding a three-week project in conjunction with Period Poverty Awareness Week and World Menstrual Hygiene Day. They're calling on people to donate menstrual products and other hygiene items to support people who cannot afford them. Tomorrow from 11 to 2, the group is hosting a shop and drop event at the parking lot of the Tigard Walmart. They are asking for donations of tampons, sanitary pads, ibuprofen, and individual hand sanitizers. Organizers